Good morning. It's Friday, December 18th. I'm Jason Stanton. I serve here at First Lutheran as senior pastor in Onalaska, Wisconsin. This is my morning musing. I'm here today because today is actually Thursday, and had a funeral today and had to print some things off and whatever else. So anyway, I know it's unusual to not have trees behind me and instead have Christmas trees and everything else that's behind me, but the contrast between the Bible readers thing that I just was studying and posting versus what I have found to be my experience both last night in the Christmas pageant and then today during the funeral that I did, that's what I've been musing about. I'm gonna read you someone's reflections on Psalm 29. So if you want to pause me to read Psalm 29, that would be maybe helpful. But in case you didn't pause me, I'm just going to tell you. In this powerful psalm, the glory of God is revealed in the crashes of thunder during a mighty storm that moves from north to south over the Holy Land. So it's a psalm about the voice of God being heard in the storm and in the thunder. Thunder, the voice of the Lord, breaks out over the Mediterranean Sea, moves to the land over Lebanon, then turns south to end up in the Negev desert. Along with booming thunder, there's hail and lightning, and it all sweeps across the sky. The worshipers in the temple respond to this awesome drama with one word: glory. The Hebrew term here, kabod, points to the specialized presence of God in the Holy of Holies in the temple. Ancient Israelites believed that the earth is the Lord's, refers us to Psalm 24, not ours and not that of some evil power. Therefore, it is appropriate for us to find a sense of the glory and majesty of God in the forces of nature and in the handiwork of creation. And then there's a prayer, for the wonders of nature, O God of creation, I praise you, amen. And that's what Psalm 29, I think, intends, is for us to be moved as we remember that God is the God of creation, to make us be moved to praise, right? But as I think of the voice of the Lord being known and heard through thunder and hail and lightning and a storm, and our response to that being glory, last night First Lutheran premiered our Christmas pageant. And I don't know that in my almost 13 years here at First Lutheran, I've ever finished an event or a time more lighthearted, while at the same time feeling most obviously the presence of God, the voice of the Lord, you could say. And so as much as this voice of the Lord in Psalm 29 is about thunder and lightning and hail and rain, I heard the voice of the Lord through laughter and silliness and through little ones, some of whom I couldn't understand everything they were saying, and yet I could understand everything they were feeling. It was such a contrast to experience that in the pageant. And then today, the funeral I did was for David Olson, 67 years old, son of the congregation. His parents, John and Catherine, have died in the last 5 years. I got to do both of those funerals too, honored to do so. And as I heard David's daughter offer at the very small, there weren't even 10 of us there, I don't think, total, and we went up to Whitehall for a graveside service, and what she shared, because when you have a service that's so small and intimate, you can do something a little different than when you have 100 people in a sanctuary. And so, I ask, what's a word or a phrase that makes you, that you would use to describe the gifts God gave Dad, or whatever the relationship was to everybody in the room. And, we shared some words and phrases. It's intimate, it's beautiful to think of the legacy that people leave to their loved ones. And David's daughter Leah shared some poems that he had written to her over the years. And, they're not going to be published. but they were beautiful. They were expressions of a father's love to his daughter. That's the voice of the Lord to me. I mean, that spoke as clearly as anything I've ever heard, especially having a couple daughters, knowing, how do you get at the depths of how much you love your children? Poetry is one way to do that. And then for a recipient to lift that up and share that at a funeral, it was gorgeous, it was beautiful. And yet far different from the voice of the Lord being in thunder and lightning and hail and rain. And so I guess my musing is there are times to remember that the voice of God is known and heard through the majesty and awe of creation that almost feels a little scary, but is overwhelmingly big and awesome. And yet there's also times to cherish God's gentle spirit and how God, the voice of God, is known through something as goofy and wonderful as our Christmas pageant and something as tender and loving as a father writing poetry to his daughter. All of it is the voice of the Lord. And so as we head into another weekend, I pray you would hear that voice of the Lord in your life. Keep faith alive.